Dear students, I am Shiv Kumar, SLD, the Department of Pharmacology, Shivlingeshwar College of Pharmacy, Almala. Today we learn regarding the anatomy and physiology of small intestine. Learning outcomes. Upon completion of this video tutorial, students should able to recall the anatomy and physiology of small intestine and also describe the regulation or phases of intestinal secretions. Dear students, the small intestine is a muscular tube extending from the pyloric sphincter to the large intestines. The small intestine is made up of the duodenum, jejunum, and ileum. The small intestine, together with the esophagus, large intestine, and the stomach, it can form the gastrointestinal tract. In living humans, the small intestine alone measures about 6 to 7 meters long. The small intestines anatomically, it is divided into three parts: duodenum, that is a 25 centimeter, then jejunum 1 meter, then ileum 2 meter. So dear students, the duodenum, it is the proximal portions of the small intestine. It is derived from the Latin. Duodenum means digitorums, meaning 12 fingers length. It runs from the pylorus of the stomach to the duodenojejunal junction. The duodenum can be divided into four parts: the superior, descending, inferior, and ascending. Together, these parts form a C shape. So that is around a 25 centimeter long, and which wraps around the head of the pancreas. Dear students, jejunum and ileum are the distal two parts of the small intestine. It contrasts to the duodenum. They are intraperitoneals. The jejunum begins at the duodenal jejunal flexure. There is no clear external demarcations between the jejunum and ileum, but although the two parts are microscopically different, and the ileum ends at the ileocecal junctions. Dear students, the internal walls of small intestine are covered in a finger-like tissue is called a villi, and each of these villi is covered in a even similar finger-like structure called a microvilli. And these villi and microvilli increase the surface area available for the absorptions of the nutrition, and as well as, so these villi and microvilli, so they are base, so they having the various glands, and those glands are known as the intestinal glands, involved in the secretions of the various hormones or enzymes and secretion. So these all hormones, enzyme secretion, so they are helpful for the digestions of the chyme or food in a small intestines. So one point should you remember, dear students: in our body, the maximum food can be digested in the small intestine, because it can get the secretions from gallbladder as well as the pancreatic gland along with its own secretion, and all these three secretions, so they are involved in the digestions of the all kind of the food, and as well as, so with the help of the villi and microvilli, so they can make the projections or larger surface area. So that larger surface area, it can allow the absorptions of the food into the our circulations after the digestions. So dear students, so what are the glands? So they are present in the mucous membrane. So there are mainly two types. One is the cryptus of Lieberberg's or intestinal glands. So these glands is mainly involved in the secretions of intrinsic factor. It is required for the absorptions of vitamin B12s. Then mucus, and mucus is required for to form the one protective layer around the intestinal walls, so that can protect from the that is corrosion against the acidic food or any other things. Then as well as they can secrete the cytokines and defense. So these, due to secretions of cytokines and defenses, it will be involved in the to shows the antibacterial activity or to kills the microorganisms. So those are present in the food entering the small intestines. And second glands, so those are known as the Burner glands. So these glands are mainly secrete the mucus and digestive enzymes. So dear students, in small intestine, so there are totally three movements are present. So they are helpful for the digestions and mixing of the food with the secretions and movement of the food from one place to the another place of the small intestines or towards the large intestine. And these movements are peristalsis movement, that is the wave like movements, that is rate around, that is 2 to 5 per seconds. So this peristalsis movement is helpful for the movement of the food from duodenum to jejunum, jejunum to ileum, ileum to the large intestines, that is propagations of the food. Then segmentations, these are the circular movements, and pendular, these movements are also similar to the segmentations. So these two movements, due to circular movement in the small intestine, it is helpful for the chyme can be completely mixed with the digestive secretions or enzyme, those are secreted in the small intestine. So due to mixing properly, the digestions can occur completely. Then it is helpful for the various chemical or enzymatic digestive reactions. So due to that, all kind of food can be digested. So that's why, so these three movements of the small intestines play important role in the digestions of the food and propagations of the food in the small intestines. So now we learn regarding the composition of succus anticus. Succus anticus is nothing but the intestinal secretions. So its color is yellow and pH is around 7.6, and the volume, it can, our intestinal gland can secrete around 1800 ml per day. So now we learn regarding the compositions of the succus anticus or intestinal secretions. It is also consist of 99.5% water and 0.5% solids, and solids subcategorized into inorganic substance like sodium, calcium, potassium, bicarbonate, chloride, phosphate and sulfate, and organic substance. And further, the organic substance are subcategorized into enzymes and other organic functions, and these enzymes are regulate the digestive functions in the small intestines, and enzymes are subcategorized into proteolytic enzyme and lipolytic enzymes. So proteolytic enzymes are aminopeptidase. It is helpful for the digestions of the amino acids or proteins. Then dipeptide peptidase enzyme, so this can break the double bond or dipeptide then into a single peptide. Then tripeptidase, it is can involved in the digestions of the tripeptides into a single or simple peptides or amino acids. Then the amino acids can be absorbed, enter into blood, blood into the liver, and the liver is involved in the synthesis of the desired protein that can required for the development of the body. And regarding the lipolytic enzymes, the lipase, so this lipase is helpful for the digestions of the fat, that is cholesterol, triglyceride into a free fatty acids. Then the free fatty acids are entering the blood, then once again entering the liver, where it is involved in the synthesis of the cholesterol, and cholesterol is required for the synthesis of the steroidal hormones in our bodies. Then amylotic enzymes like sucrase, maltase, lactulase and dextrinase and trahalase, so these enzymes are involved in the digestions of the carbohydrates. For example, sucrase, it is involved in the digestions of sucrose, and maltase, digestions of the maltose. Then last enzyme, that is the enterokinase. It is the most one of the important enzymes in a small intestine, because so this enterokinase, it can activate the trypsin, and the trypsin, it can activate these all the enzymes. Along with it can send information to the gallbladder and pancreatic gland. Then the gallbladder, pancreatic gland involved in the secretions of the digestive secretions. Then other organic substance like mucus intrinsic factors or deficiency is also present in the succus anticus. And mucus, it is helpful for the to balances the water secretions in a small intestine, that is known as the hydrolytic function. So due to that, it can provide the lubrications for the digestions of the chyme in a small intestine. Then intrinsic factors, so that is helpful for the absorptions of vitamin D12 from the small intestine, and vitamin B12 is involved in the maturations of the RBC. So that's why the small intestine is also involved in the productions of the RBC, or involved in the hemolytic function due to secretions of the intrinsic factors or enhancing the absorptions of the vitamin B12. Dear students, so without intrinsic factors, the vitamin B12 cannot be absorbed from the food. It means if any problem in the stomach or small intestine, the secretion was decreases, so that can causes the to cause of anemia. Then dear students, the daphnes, it is having the capability to do antibacterial activities. So due to that, the small intestines is also having the or regulate the protective functions by invading the microbiome with the help of the cytokines and deficins. So now we learn regarding the regulations of secretions of succus anticus. So intestinal secretions was mainly regulated by the nervous system and certain hormones. So those are also regulate the intestinal secretions. So nervous system, that is the parasympathomimic system, it can enhance the secretion by causing the contractions of the gastric glands that and intestinal glands. And sympathetic system, it can decreases the gastric secretion by inhibiting the secretions. And regarding hormone enterokinase, it is the main enzyme. It can stimulate the secretions from the intestinal gland as well as gallbladder as well as the pancreatic gland, and as well as the enterokinase can activate the trypsin, and trypsin is involved in the signaling, and that phenomena is helpful for the activations of the all the digestive enzymes. So those are secreted from the small intestines. Then secretin and cholecystokinin, they can enhance the or to regulate the intestinal motility, and other side they can inhibit the activity of the gastric glands. Thank you, dear students.